Well, we came outside this morning. We found one of our chickens had been killed this morning. So I stuck him in a saddle heart trap. Hopefully we'll be able to get whatever did that tonight. Hopefully they'll come back in 1 second and we can get them in that trap. A couple years ago we had that same kind of thing start happening, and we ended up catching a raccoon in that very trap. I suspect either a raccoon or a possum, and hopefully we'll be able to figure out what it is. We got a few things we need to do today, but first let's try and get these chickens moved. All right, guys, that about wraps that chore up. We got them here on fresh grass. They're eating away. All right, so one of the things we need to do today is set up our brooder. Now, we've got 35 quail eggs in our incubator, and they are set to hatch starting in a couple days. So we figured we'd take you along and show you how to set up a brooder for quail. This is our brooder house. We built that a couple years ago out of all reclaimed materials. And what it consists of is just a cattle panel hooped over on a plywood base. And you can see I've got some runners underneath it to kind of set it up off the ground a little bit. Brooder, and this is the little brooder that we use most of the time. This is about a 3x6 brooder. We used to just put the chicks inside the brooder house, shut the door, and let them go, but we found out pretty quickly that this brooder is not rat proof. And we do have rats here because of all the feed we have here. It's almost impossible to keep mice and rats out of it. And they get in here and the rats will kill the baby chick. So because of that rat danger, we had to enclose an area inside the brooder house and make it rat proof. And so that's why we have the brooder within the brooder. And actually with the quail, they're so small, they won't even need the full-size brooder. We're gonna give them our other small brooder here. Let me show you guys what this is. This is the bottom of an igloo doghouse. So a couple years ago, I just framed it. Just framed the outside with these 2x2s. And I built this door for it. And that way, kind of gives us access to it. So anyway, that's kind of the simple little brooder we're going to set up for our quail. All right, so the next thing we've got to do is get some bedding to get it go inside that brooder house. And we actually have some pine shavings over in the barn. So we're headed over there to get the pine shavings now. These are actually shavings that we put inside a larger brooder that we had meat birds in that never actually got used. This brooder was split into two sides and we only ever used one side of it. All right, this is the larger brooder we have in the barn. And we built this, let me show you. It's just an old tobacco barn, my father-in-law's old tobacco barn. And so we built an 8x8 brooder inside the barn. That's our setup. And as you can see, we primarily had birds in the back. We never really even used this top, and I've been taking from it over the last couple of years for different brooders. So let's get some out of there and get it back up to our brooder. All right, you've got your brooder set up. You've got the deep litter in your brooder. You need to think about heat, water, and food. That is the three most important things to a new baby chick. Let's talk about waters real quick. For these quail that we're gonna have, we got these tiny waterers. The normal chicken water tank screws right onto them, but they're so tiny. Look at that little lip right there. Just big enough for a little quail to get their little head over there. If you go with the standard chicken waterer, there's a really big possibility that your little quail will get over into that and not be able to get out and drown. So it's really important. I got these at TSC, guys. The TSC stocks these little quail waterers, quail chick waterers, and they're only like $4. So not bad. So that's the watering. All right, now feeders. Quail are super messy eaters. They stick their little head in there, they shake it all around. And so this style feeder for chicks is probably gonna be your best bet. They can get their little head down into there and they can shake their little head around in there and you're not spilling as much feed. Now with the waterer, what I'll do is I'll take a little bit of landscape stone and kind of bury it even with the top of these shavings so that they can still step up on it, and then set my water in the middle. That'll help keep the wood chips from getting down into the water. All right, now I'm gonna set this feeder right in here. Try and level me out a good spot right here. So that's your basic setup. food, water. The next thing we have to deal with is heat. All right, guys, let's talk about heat for just a minute. What we've chosen to go with in this brooder is just your standard Brooder lamp. You can get these at TSC, probably get them at Southern States. Now, if we were brooding these inside the house, we would probably get a hover brooder. They're a lot safer. These lamps have been known to cause fire, and I'm well aware of that. I've been using these for years. I've never had an incident, but there's no way in the world I would ever hang one of those style brooder lamps inside a home or in a basement. There's just too much risk of fire. And so I would probably just go get one of those hover brooders. That would be a lot safer option if you were brooding indoors. But since we're brooding outside, we're just going with our standard lamps. We're just using what we got. We try to keep things pretty minimal around here as far as what things we have to buy. We like to reuse, as you can tell, with our brooder, with our chicken coop, with our pig house, with our mobile chicken coop. Everything we have here is reclaimed material. Something I really love to do is to take old stuff and to keep giving it some life. And so we're just going with the old style brooder lamp. All right, so we got 2 brooder lamps. I don't know that we'll necessarily have to have 2 on all the time, but since this is a non-insulated brooder house, I wanted to make sure and have 2. And so I fixed this one where we can clip it up out of the way and then get in here to feed and water, and then you release it and it falls right back down. All right, guys, let's talk about feed for just a second. Now, you just saw me load a 50-pound bag of starter into their trash can right there. Now, we use the Game Bird starter is because it is close to 30% protein. I think the one that we actually get from our Mennonite feed mill, they happen to have that Game Bird starter. It's actually got a label on it for quail, so it's designed for quail. You can get 30% Game Bird starter at TSC, but just beware, you're going to be given about double the price at TSC than you would if you could just get it from a local feed mill. But yeah, 28% quail starter, Game Bird feed. We got an incubator for Christmas. It's actually a Christmas present from my in-laws. I got the Nature Right 360. They're due to hatch in a couple of days, so we're really excited. My girls are getting all ready for it. They're getting pumped up about watching them hatch this weekend, and hopefully by the end of the weekend we'll have some birds in that brooder. There you have it, guys. Everything you need to know about brooding quail. Thanks for checking us out. See you next time. The actual brooder home, or that, sorry, we actually just used to use, we'll see how they're doing after. Okay, so I'm gonna put this water, it's where we store their food, so